Hey there, podcast listeners. Exciting news. My new audiobook, The Short Book Formula, A Financial Professional's Guide to Writing a Book in 6 Weeks to Attract Ideal Clients, is out now. And the best part, for a limited time, we're offering this audiobook to you for free. Hurry over to www.theshortbookformula.com and claim your copy now. And now, on to our show. Welcome to another episode of the $1 Million Producer Show. I'm your host, Paul G. McManus. Today, I'm excited to welcome Sean Rogers to the show. As the president and founder of Digital Financial Officers, Sean has been at the forefront of revolutionizing how small businesses manage their accounting and finance functions with the power of online platforms. But what truly sets Sean and his company apart is their advanced application of artificial intelligence, which Sean and his team utilize to streamline complex financial processes, making them more accessible and efficient for business owners everywhere. For our listeners today who are CPAs and other financial advisors working closely with small business owners, Sean's insights into leveraging AI and other technology to enhance your service offerings will be incredibly valuable. So if you're ready to unlock new possibilities and elevate your practice, let's dive in. Welcome, Sean.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate having me and looking forward to this podcast episode.
Definitely. Thank you for being here. Just to start out and frame things, who are you? Who is Sean Rogers, and how did you get to where you are today?
Great question. And sometimes I'm not 100% certain how I got on the path that I am, but super happy of where we are as a company and ultimately where we're going to go in the next 10 to 15 years. A little bit about myself, Sean Rogers, born and raised Long Island, New York. I worked predominantly in the tri-state area and really entering my career into the wealth management space, specifically within multifamily offices. I really was able to utilize the education I learned, especially in my master's program, receiving my MBA in financial management, and really, fortunately, just started working with ultra high net worth individuals for all of those 7 years within the family office space. My angle was more on that personal CFO side. So throughout most of my career, specifically handling individuals and their families' day-to-day finances. So paying their personal bills, managing their household payroll, handling all their different real estate entities, all their different properties, liaising with the property management, etc. But ultimately then providing transparency to those individuals through financial reporting. Since we did the accounting, since we held the books and records, we were giving insights into their own personal day-to-day management, how much income they're generating from all the different entities, how many expenses by house, by vertical, whichever entity we're talking about, really just allowed them have a more deeper insight into their own personal financial management, not just what their investments look like, but how does their personal income and all those different sources really affect their personal bottom line and ultimately their net worth. I love doing that. Super good opportunities amongst 2 different RIAs that I worked at. Really, my passion pivoted to business owners, specifically when COVID-19 happened. Businesses, economy shut down, a lot of different funding opportunities and stimulus packages came from the government. We really started to build those connections with those small business owners fighting ultimately to get funding from the government to keep their operations going. So that truly just pivoted my whole career trajectory and ultimately my passion to help small business owners navigate through their own financial and their operations, but also just allow and provide a high level service to ultimately small businesses that most of them really didn't believe they could get. But now there's so much technology and other outsourced methods that there really is a cost effective solution to get real high level CFO and accounting support.
Very cool. And I'm going to disclose to our audience, I'm personally looking to hire Sean and his company to come on and help us out here at More Clients, More Fun beginning in the new year. And I'm excited about it for a number of reasons, especially the artificial intelligence that he brings to the table, and I'm a big fan of. But maybe just using me as an example, I know we haven't even got started yet, but so for a small business owner like myself, what are the advantages or the benefits of working with a firm like yours? How is it different or better than more of a traditional bookkeeping firm or accountant.
I'm looking forward to eventually getting started with you, Paul. Definitely could add value. And just to take a step back and give you a little more details on what digital financial officers is truly about, because it's not just me anymore building the team, really building a company more than just me as a consultant. We're leveraging AI and machine learning platforms to handle and automate the bookkeeping. So instead of historically a bookkeeping firm or an individual doing data entry, utilizing the keyboard and manual efforts and hours, plugging into your QuickBooks and plugging into your financial institutions, all the different credit cards, checkings that you are running through your business, allowing all that to be flown through the platform. And based on the AI and the historical trends that the bookkeeping has been done previously in prior years by a human, it's able to facilitate the actual coding, recognizing the type of transaction as it comes through the financial account, and then accurately being able to post it to the correct expense account, correct income account. And you may say, oh, I don't really need that. I only want to look at it once a month. But just imagine having daily bookkeeping done, which flows into nice custom financial dashboards. And then at month end, you get an automated reporting package specifically and customized to you and your business and the insights that you want. But now, because of those dashboards, you're able to have a bead on your business at any point. You always know where your P&L sits. You always know what your outstanding AR is. You always know what your outstanding AP is, how that affects your balance sheet, your cash accounts, all the stuff that you ultimately review maybe once a month or once a quarter from a traditional bookkeeping firm or CPA firm is just going to give you more keys to the kingdom, more insight straight at your fingertips so you can make better business decisions knowing how things impact your financials throughout the month or throughout that quarter. And all of that is not possible without technology, in my opinion, and really just allowing it to be more mobile, accessible. All our platforms integrate, all our platforms are online, and it just provides that efficiencies. But someone like yourself, Paul, knowing that you're doing marketing efforts, whether it's through LinkedIn, Facebook, Google, whatever the platform, we're able to integrate those KPIs as well. So instead of having to go to your Facebook page or your LinkedIn page and see how many clicks you got, how many followers, where are those followers coming if you get that type of geographical or industry specific. And we're able to ingest that data and present it in a simple financial dashboard for you to not only see your financial data points, but all the other different KPIs that you're going to be tracking while growing your business. So it's really just scratching the surface and super powerful. But a lot of things that my clients laugh at and say when they really take a step back is like, how did I do this without this type of information? How did I run my business for all this long when this just wasn't readily available? We're all about transparency, and it just goes a long way knowing that whatever you want to know, here's exactly where to look for it. And it's always up to date with the latest metrics or data points.
Interesting. So I did not realize that. I was thinking about it just from more of an accounting and bookkeeping standpoint. And so I'm actually now even more interested. Maybe we'll need to start sooner. So unpack that a little bit for me more. So aside from the accounting and bookkeeping, how does that work and why is that integrated? Why is that important, or why did you make the decision to integrate those things outside of more the traditional bookkeeping?
Yeah, no, great question. And everything we do truly starts with bookkeeping. I believe it's the bloodline of a business, besides human capital and true capital. But you need good books and records. You always need to know where your financials are. And a lot of small business owners only look at it once a year. And it's just for a very low cost that we offer, fraction of the cost of what a human bookkeeper would be saying. And I will say the word human a lot because it's just part of how we differentiate, because technology can not replace but complement. And I'm a firm believer that it's not going to replace, it's only going to complement and help everyone with their job do just more with less.
I would, just to jump in for a second, I would add this impacts my company, but I've also been having this conversation a lot with clients. And I think just like outsourcing, which has been around longer, what I think happens, and this is a positive, or at least I think it's a positive, is it allows business owners and their existing team to elevate the tasks and the projects that they work on so that they can increasingly get away from some of the busy work or I don't want to call it low value, but some of the repetitive tasks that they might be engaged in today and find ways to add even more value to their clients. That would be the way that I would say that the more you embrace technology and AI, it creates the opportunity to provide that much more value to your clients. Now, of course, conversely, if you're maybe a big corporation and you're just skating by and you're not really engaged, yeah, you could lose your job, I think.
Correct.
But for someone who actually is growth oriented, wants to add value, elevate their skill set, do more, I think it's a complete game changer in a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely. I said this to one of my clients, financial advisor in the Northeast, who is handling their bookkeeping week to week, spending probably 4 to 5 hours a week, 20 hours a month, 240 hours a year for the cost. And it's just a simple ROI for the cost that they're paying me to automate that, but also oversee that. Don't get me wrong. We're not a company that is just letting technology run completely start to finish. We're just now having that much more time to review activity, get more analytical. But going back to my story, that low cost, now they just have about 30 days back in their year. All they need to do is get one or two clients to offset my costs, but let alone be able to compile that. Because to your point, business owners, they're good at what is generating the business. If you're a doctor, you're good at being a doctor. Yes, you could have some business experience, which you will, and run the business, but doing bookkeeping should not be something on your plate, especially when either you're that high of a professional. But if your job is to either service or generate revenue, you should not be doing administrative tasks when there's such low cost AI, but technology as a whole solution. So, complete firm believer. And there's just a lot in store for digital financial officers. But ultimately, what we're trying to target are those CPAs and those financial advisors that are providing similar services to their client base and partner up with us and instill the technology and the processes into their own practices, which will then have that trickle effect to their business owner clients. So there's a lot going on, and I'll stop there in case you have any
Yeah.
questions, but to lead into kind of how we're doing that.
Yeah, 100%. Just before we go there, I just wanted to reflect on I'm one of those business owners who works a lot, passionate about what I do, but I naturally gravitate towards the things that are, to me, creative and that help me grow the business. And the bookkeeping is the last thing that I personally want to do. I've come up with a great solution the past number of years with my dad, who is basically retired, but he has a passion for bookkeeping and accounting. And so he's been helping me the past number of years do this, and I've found it immensely helpful to just once a month review the books, right? As that I'm a small business owner, but it's just that once a month snapshot of, okay, this is where we're at, this is our cash position, this is what we need to do, and it helps me make better decisions. So I am looking forward to everything that you bring to the table, because it's just going to make the process all that more in real time. Now, in all transparency, I did not fire my dad. I just want to put that out there. I let him know that we're going to be adding some new resources. He's welcome to stay. I think he took a look at your website, and I think they can do a lot of this without me. And
That's funny.
so
now he is.
So he's 85 years old. He's moved into a retirement home. You are helping him free up his time so he can enjoy his retirement a little bit more. That aside, and really the reason I wanted to talk to you today and have you talk to our audience is that we have many CPAs on the show that listen to the show, many financial advisors. And I think this conversation will be probably a little bit more geared towards CPAs, but I think it's applicable for financial advisors. And if you can just paint the picture, right? Show us or tell us, what's a current CPA doing? What does their life look like when it comes to offering these services, or potentially not offering these services and losing opportunity, or just not being able to grow to where they want to grow because of the logistics and the demands and all the different things that are involved in providing these services, to what's the transformation, if you will, in terms of, as a business opportunity, where can you help them get to in their practices vis-a-vis helping their business owner clients?
Great question. So right now, CPA practices that are offering bookkeeping services are, I would say, definitely heavy on the human capital. They're relying on their staff members to keep up, which goes into many other areas of how this could provide a better solution. But when you have staff, you're going to have attrition, you're going to have retention issues, or go the extra mile to retain them. And also, they're not a traditional bookkeeper is only going to have so much capacity within their 40-hour work week. They can only so much handle manual efforts of keystroking, entering transactions, running reports. So mathematically, you're always going to have a ceiling. But when you get new clients, you then hire another person and then you hire another individual because once again, they have capacity issues. But when it comes to actually the client service aspect, in my history, there's always a priority list within your clientele, just naturally across all industries. But when it comes to bookkeeping, you have to do one at a time when it comes to doing all the bank recs, performing the month end close, and then ultimately issuing financial packages. So some clients may get it in the first week of the month for the prior month, but then it trickles all the way down, and you can't close out a month usually until the 15th or the 20th. And that's usually the CPA's turnaround because a lot of them are waiting to month end to do a lot of the work. So that's currently where it's at for what I'm about to then say what the opposite and the new transformation looks like.
And just to add one more thing is during tax time, what tends to happen, which is I think on a good month, it's at the end of the month, right? During tax
Correct.
time, when you're bogged down and you're just trying to prioritize what needs to get done, I think oftentimes it can get even more problematic.
Yeah, I want it to be very benefit of the doubt, but there is that seasonality aspect to it. But then there's also obviously with year end, and I guarantee you, a lot of CPAs, I wouldn't say everyone, has maybe put a client on extension because they don't have the prior year's books. And is that the best service to the client? No, but it's okay at the end of the day. But that painful season come November to April for a CPA practice, getting ready for a year end could be simplified and solved if you had a technology driven solution keeping the books and records of your clients throughout the year. And I guarantee you, tax season will be much simpler when CPAs really embrace and incorporate technology and AI into their practice. So there's twofold. What we're offering is efficiencies and scalability to CPA practices because of that reason. All the clients' daily transactions and bookkeeping is being done in real time. Reporting packages are produced by the fifth business day amongst all your clientele. If you have 5 clients or 500 clients on the platform, you're getting all your client base month end close reporting package issued on the same day. That's unheard of. Sounds too good to be true, but it truly isn't. And we're partnering up with CPAs exactly for this reason. They are coming out of the October 15th deadline. And the past 3 weeks, fortunately, has been a lot of good business development conversations because they don't want to go through these painful tax seasons. A lot of the extensions are because 2022 is not necessarily caught up. And now they're doing mass data entry and mass accounting work 10 months later. So just think of a world where you're a CPA, not to say that you're going to now just not have a tax season, but I guarantee you it's going to be a relief, or your time is really focused on those bigger tax and compliance strategies and just planning overall for your business owner, not focused on when the books and records are going to be caught up and able to be utilized. So it's a lot going on, but that's really just how do you provide more efficiencies and scalabilities within the CPA firm. What I believe that real output is how do you give your clients, being those small business owners, a better experience? How do you give them more insight into their financials through the automated reporting and those financial dashboards? But then the real icing on the cake is CPAs, and I'm going to use a word CAS, client advisory services. That's where CPAs need to go to. They need to be more proactive, starting to get into the business advisory, because I do believe the tax prep is eventually going to be commoditized or truly automated. I would say in the near term for those simple tax returns, nothing crazy, obviously, with complex situations. And you're always going to have a professional, but they're going to lose clientele because they're going to start getting pitched with firms that are giving more than just a tax return and low frequency bookkeeping. So there's a lot of different areas, but our core service is around bookkeeping. So we could do more through reporting, through bringing in other metrics that the business requires, and then presenting them with technology solutions as well as analysis. Because we are accountants and analysts by trade. So we're speaking to these clients, but also training CPA staff on how to advise small business owners from an accounting and finance perspective.
As you're talking, this gets me thinking about a number of different things. I work and have worked with a lot of CPAs over the years, specifically those that are looking to create what I would call a virtual family office, meaning that they have their expertise and they know that bookkeeping and tax preparation compliance work, it's increasingly commoditized and they need to make that transformation into offering those higher value services. How do you do that? Where do I find the time? All these different things. Along the lines, I'm thinking that a number of, let's say, high-level CPAs, especially the ones that want to do more of the advising and maybe they're already doing it, but I still think there's some value to providing services such as bookkeeping and tax prep and things, because I think just from a marketing perspective, oftentimes that's the entry point for clients, right? So a lot of new clients are going to come to you because of the more the basics, and then the right clients are going to want the more advanced services. And so I guess all that to be said is that with what you provide, is there a leveraged approach, meaning that if I was a small CPA, solopreneur, small team, what have you, and I didn't really want to get into the bookkeeping, but I saw it as a value add simply to offer the service in a leveraged way, is what you bring to the table something that I could employ to make that a service without having to spend much time actually doing it, but get the benefits of it?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what we're now branding, co-branding with other CPA practices, where it's Paul McManus CPA bookkeeping powered by DFO. That way, it's not an in-house service that you're providing, but you're just outsourcing it, more of a strategic partnership rather than a true outsource, because we then help that CPA come up the curve on those clients' financials. So as a CPA, who is maybe smaller in size and doesn't have the support staff, they're then liaising with us to gain insight into their own clients' businesses. So we also prep them and give them the highlights of what they should be really monitoring. And what it really goes hand in hand, and even just, I always say, a small, simple strategy or proactive approach of, now that you have the bookkeeping automated, now you are going to always know where the revenues and the net profit will be. You can just start making simple suggestions of, hey, I see your profit's going to be 500 grand. Why don't we do some retirement contribution? But a lot of times, CPAs really don't find out how their clients performed until after the year. And obviously, there's things in timing that you could still make those strategies, but just imagine being able to do that more proactively and be able to create that strategy with the client. If the client made 500 grand, maybe they're going to go buy a new boat for $250 million. But if you embed that in the strategy, then you make those quarterly contributions or whatever the case is. So that's like the simple day-to-day situation that I always play out when I'm speaking. But it really, I've seen it many times with even some of the larger clients that I've supported previous career in my previous firms. The CPAs can sometimes, not that they're not existent, but giving them that transparency just allows them to just be more proactive, because all they're doing is quickly gaining insights from the dashboards and they're not compiling anything or running reports. So it does make the conversations better with the clientele as well. But yeah, a lot of different avenues, but we do partner from an outsourced method with those CPAs, or we train their own staff how to really run the platform and provide those services with their internal staff. So very nimble, very flexible.
Another situation is coming to mind for a CPA or CFO, maybe a fractional CFO, who is looking to provide more CFO, fractional CFO engagements. One of the things that you had said earlier, which I wasn't aware of, was it's not just the bookkeeping and the financials, but it's also the potentially the marketing dashboards, those things that really, I think for a proactive chief financial officer are metrics that could be incredibly valuable for them to help guide CEO and the business to increasing their value and increasing their multiple, et cetera. A number of people I work with, they're CFOs, but they're also business growth advisors, ultimately helping business owners increase their valuation so that they can exit. But I think the pain point for many is just access to the data, right? They don't have the data in a simple place where they can really get insight and help advise better. In that scenario, I'm assuming that what you do could also help support that CFO or fractional CFO through your technology? Or can you share more about
Exactly.
how you can potentially work with them to be able to position themselves better for that proactive CFO role?
Exactly. Great topic because we just started working with, I guess before I met him, he was a competitor, another fractional CFO doing more of that realm rather than the bookkeeping, but we're supporting them exactly what you just mentioned. They have clientele, they have a lot of metrics that they're monitoring, but they're doing it more manually or not as frequent because there's manual efforts to it. So what we do is we use Power BI, which is a Microsoft product. I think it's the best data visualization tool out there. And through setting up APIs, either creating them or already having them established, we're then able to plug into any sort of platform, whether it's a LinkedIn or Facebook business account, whether it's Salesforce, if that's your CRM system and there's good data, which there always will be within a CRM system, really any other platform, to be honest with you. Right now, we've really only worked with CRM systems and more marketing related tracking platforms. But like a good analysis we were just doing with the CFO was taking their Salesforce, which they use as their pipeline monitoring and all their open opportunities, and really then just dissecting that data. How does your pipeline translate into future revenues? Are you gonna how much revenues could you possibly close? But then how much more support of expenses, whether it's personnel or whatever the case is with your business, are you going to have to hire? And taking historical trends, overlaying it for future opportunities really just help support their 3, 5, 10 year plan because now we always know one, what does the pipeline need to be to continue to hit those growth targets, but also depending on the stage of that sales cycle, what's the probability at a high level of how much revenues we're going to project. So we go I'm an analyst by trade. That's what I say. I'm not even so much more accounting by trade. I'm more analyst. I worked for Michael Bloomberg's family office being a financial analyst within Bloomberg LP. So I spent 2 years specifically working with data visualization tools, but also just dissecting large organizations and really seeing how all the data connects. So that's like our icing on the cake is here's your financial data, but did you ever think how the marketing spend on LinkedIn is really connecting? Could we pump more money into the marketing spend, which will then have a greater ROI and generate more revenues? And that's just where our mind goes. But the only reason we have that capacity is because we're automating the bookkeeping and then leveraging historicals to project any sort of future outcome or strategy to support. So it's really cool. And what we're doing, fortunately, so far, I think we maybe have two clients that are in the same industry, not CPAs, the fractional CFO. The CPAs, they're more the client facing, so we don't necessarily talk to them when they're just utilizing the technology, but we're just taking different areas across different industries and just playing them into one thing happening in a construction company could be relatable to a retail management company or whatever the case is. We're just getting that exposure and then giving that insight into other clientele as well. Obviously, not client names, but just other trends that we're seeing that could be applicable. So it's really cool what we're doing and a lot more to come. We've really only tapped into the AI world. One of the coolest things that we'll probably do in the short term is embed ChatGPT within our dashboard. So not only do you may not have to look at Excels and PDFs anymore, you may not even have to think on how to analyze. You just simply type in a question and ChatGPT is going to respond based on your own financial data set. So we're almost automating analysis as well, which would be remarkable to an extent, of course, but I think it'd be very cool for people to have that capability.
Yeah, 100%. I use ChatGPT on a daily basis. I'm just as a quick aside, I'm fascinated by AI myself, and I'm always keeping on track of the latest trends. I don't know if you paid attention. Elon Musk, he's in X.ai. They've come out with their own competitive version of ChatGPT, but just as a fun aside, it has a sense of humor. You can ask it questions and it's going to give you, if you say, make it more vulgar, it's going to make it more vulgar. So it doesn't have
That's awesome.
the same restrictions that ChatGPT has in place. And so it's going to be, it'll at least be very entertaining.
I did see that. I do need to look into it though, but I was
yeah,
reading about that over the weekend.
Yeah, I think it's a beta testing. And then obviously OpenAI and ChatGPT has taken the world by storm. Just in the last week, I think, literally today, I opened up my chat GPT and there's already a new set of functionality that wasn't there yesterday. The learning curve or the growth progress curve, maybe progress is the better word. The progress curve on this is exponential, right? I think if someone's in an industry that hasn't already seen this, been very impacted, they will soon. I know my industry has, and it sounds like you are taking advantage of this as well to help people benefit. But just 1 year, 3 years, 5 years out, we're going to be living in a different world, right? This is just my own 2 cents and my own advice. For anyone that's sitting on the fence thinking, oh, that's probably sounds good and I should probably embrace it at some point, the time to make a decision was yesterday. If not, the next best time is now, because a week from now, a month from now, you are going to be seriously behind the curve. One more thing that kind of came up in a conversation recently is that sometimes people that haven't had as much exposure to using AI technologies, I think sometimes they're a little bit skeptical about accuracy and all those things. And the analogy that I give them is, think about self-driving cars. A self-driving car is essentially an AI, and this is something that we trust our lives to. Right? It's not yet so commonplace that we're all using it, but it's starting to be, right? Probably in a couple of years, it's going to be more the norm.
And if you didn't know, Paul, not to interrupt you, I do have a Tesla, so I've been experiencing the self-driving for the last 3 years. Perfect analogy that you're going with.
Yeah, this thing is that in a year or two from now, and maybe you're already there because you have the Teslas, that at some point you're going to be like, I don't want a human to drive. That would be crazy. A human, they get distracted. They're easily distracted and emotional. There's no way I would have a human drive my car. I think that's probably a future that's a year or two away now. And so just I use that because for anyone that's AI, doesn't do it as well, it does it pretty darn good. And in many cases, it does it better. And it doesn't remove the need for a human, but it really, I call it superpowers, right? I feel like I have superpowers that I didn't have a year ago. And so that's just my 2 cents on the whole AI. Before we close out, just love to get your sense of AI, the direction of it. Are we going to live in a bright future where there's abundance and peace and prosperity? Or are we going to live more in a Terminator doomsday scenario where we're trying to run away from the AI? What's your crystal ball telling you?
Definitely an optimist by heart, but it's definitely the sun shines and pot of gold at the end of the tunnel, because it's not automating, even though it could, but it's not replacing the human brain. If you're a CPA, you have a designation and a license. That's what you should be focused on. You shouldn't be focused on worrying about bookkeeping, but it is important. If you're a financial advisor or a portfolio manager, you should be focused on managing your clientele's portfolios. You shouldn't be worrying about your business bookkeeping, and just very simple little things like that. Yeah, definitely optimistic on AI. And for those CPAs listening, if you are on the fence, what I would like to say and offer is rip the Band-Aid off of you being on the fence and reach out to us, and we will give you a trial for a month or two on a select few of your clients. I definitely never recommend completely changing a firm's process on day one. There's always an implementation and a transition period. But if you like what you've been hearing, if you want to give it a try, there's no cost to it. We'll roll it out for a month or two for a couple of your clients, just so you could really see it for yourself and see how that additional value you could ultimately add to your clients and grow your firm in a much bigger way.
Very cool. So 2 final questions before we wrap up. First question is there anything that we haven't covered today that you think would be useful for our audience to know? And I'll give you the second question in advance. Where can people find you or reach out to you?
So the only thing that we didn't touch on, and it's very important, is the onboarding is very simple. It's not a big undertaking. It's not implementing this whole big CRM system. It's truly a plug and play. Every client, if you got all your ducks in a row, which you would know before onboarding, should take about 2 to 3 minutes. And then about 4 or 5 business days, it's on autopilot. So you could onboard a lot of clients at once. So that's always like a fear that most people have with technology, but it's truly a plug and play, and you could onboard your own. So we're not a bottleneck in any way. But yeah, to reach out to us, Sean at digitalfinancialofficers.com. Sean is spelled SEAN, or go to our website, www.digitalfinancialofficers.com, or our LinkedIn page as well. But looking forward to hopefully touching some of the audience and really hearing them.
Thank you so much for your time today, Sean. It's been very valuable information. I know that I learned a lot, and I hope that our audience learned a lot as well. This has been fascinating for me. I hope it's been fascinating for our audience. And I'm even more excited now to plug in, not just for the bookkeeping benefits, which was I was already anticipating, but now the marketing one. Thanks again for your time today.
Thank you, Paul.